Hi everybody, it's Marty at stampwithmarty.com. I have a fun project planned for the tutorial today, and that's how to make your own business cards. Something that's really unique and fun to do with MDS, to have your own design on your business cards. There's two ways you can do it. One would be to design a single business card, save it as a JPEG file, then you can upload that to the professional printers. The second way would be to save it as a JPEG file and then create your own template and print it at home. I'm going to show you both ways to do that, and both ways using MDS. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is get a new file, a new project, and we want to use a custom size. We're going to use the size of a standard business card plus a little bit extra to just allow for slightly off printing either at home or a little bit larger size that will work just fine with a professional printer also. So let's go to 3.5, 3.6 as a standard size would be 3.5, and the height would be 2. Make sure that you have units and inches before you get going and create your project. Then I'm going to call this single business card and say OK. But here, just notice how we have a very much larger ruler than the standard ruler size. And so when we bring in stamps and embellishments, they're going to be much larger. And I'll show you how to edit the size if you can't find the gray boxes to grab it by the edge and shrink it up a little bit. But let's start by choosing a background paper. I'm going to use something that's pretty standard to MDS and use this grid paper. I like Baja Breeze, one of my favorite colors. So we'll start with that. And I want to add some embellishments. I chose to use a stamp set, and I am choosing Baroque motifs. I love the designs here. This is a retired stamp set, but a lovely one. I pull the stamp set over here and let go, and notice how big it is. If you want to edit this, you can right-click on it. Let me back up. Right-click on the stamp set itself and choose Edit Object. And so if any time you're pulling in an embellishment or a stamp or a punch that's way too big, you can do this to shrink it down to a size that you like. And you kind of have to guesstimate the size, and when it's a stamp set, it just automatically keeps the proportions the same. So I close out of that edit box, and now I can easily move my stamp around. And this is too small for me, so I'm going to pull it up a little bit, and I'm going to change the color using the Design Center side. I'm going to change the color to white. I'll say OK. I'm going to change the opacity because I just don't want this to overwhelm my business card. I'm going to make it just a little bit larger. Then I'm going to add some medallions. One is this big white one, and I can see the corner. Always your stamp set, when you bring it on the page, is selected. So you can see the corner here. You can just shrink it. Change the color again to white and say OK and set the opacity down. And then I'm going to add a couple of flowers from this design right here. I want to make this a Baja Breeze, so go to my Design Center, change color, and choose the Baja Breeze. And now I have a tone on tone. Well, you can just barely see that. But if you change the drop shadow, add a drop shadow and change it, make it a little bit less opaque and a little bit more blurred, that makes it bigger, and now you can see the flower better. But that's still not enough. So this time I'm going to say Edit, Copy, and Edit, Paste, and Place. Now notice all this time my flower has been selected to do all these things. If once you click off of the item, you'll have to reselect it, but make sure it's selected before you do any of these steps. So notice how nice and dark that is. It just stands right out, and I like that look of tone on tone. I'm going to just draw a box around it and say Arrange Group. Now I can move it any place on the screen that I want. I want to copy it, so I right click and then I choose copy and paste. Now I don't care about the paste in place, so I just use my keyboard, my mouse, and my right click and say copy, oops, and paste. But again, if you want to do that paste in place, you need to use the edit button so you can get the paste in place option. And it's really fun to do that to get this lovely highlight. I'm going to add a little drop shadow to this one also, but I'll just leave it at the default. And then I'm set to go with my text. Now, so we just move right in here and add a text box. You will know after you've worked with this a little bit the size of your text box, what size you want it to be, but you'll want to make it fairly large. Remember, this is what your business card is going to look like. Double click to select the text editor. All right, I'm going to type my name. I'm going to highlight the typing and choose a different font, and I want the Seago script. If I press the S on the keyboard, it takes me right into that area of the choices. That's sometimes a wonderful way to skip around. And then I want to type the rest of my information. I have it already typed here, so I can just cut and paste it. And I'm going to do that to save time. Notice how it comes in quite large and the sides of the text box are red. What that tells you is that there is something outside of the text box that isn't fitting inside the text box. And so what you need to do is to either shrink your font, as I'm doing, or you need to make the text box larger. If you'll notice, everything is now fitting inside the text box, but the edge of the box is still red. I find this happens often because I have an invisible hard return at the end of the last line in my text box. If I put my cursor at the very end and then hit the delete key, that usually takes care of my problem. And you'll see that now that text box redness has gone away. Text boxes get a little fussy sometimes, so you might have to work with them as I did. Now I'm ready to save my card and then save it as a JPEG file, or convert it, export it to a JPEG file. So the way to do that is just select File, Save, and then up at the top, Project, Share, Export Pages. I want to make sure it's a JPEG, and that'll be the format that most printers would want. And then I'm not going to change anything else and say Finish. And we're done with that part. And if you're going to send it to the printer, you can start designing your next one if you want. But we're going to go ahead and print at home. We need to make our own templates. So we're going to open the photo books and individual pages, choose 8.5 by 11, and create your own. This one I will call business card template. And then I'm going to just click OK. And I'm ready to go. I want to get rid of the barcode area on my sheet. This will not affect the printing, but it does kind of get in the way of our design. In order to do that, I right click on the icon at the bottom of the page, and I remove the check mark excuse me, I remove the check mark on the line that says this book has a photo cover, and it takes that away. I want to set up some guides on my page to mark what a typical business card form would look like, and I'm going to set a line at the center, which is 4 1/4 on an 8.5 by 11 page, and then most of the forms are going to be about ½ inch down from the top. If you have the form, you can just use your ruler and make that mark. And I just click in the ruler to get the red lines across there. They won't print. I just use them as guides. If you need to move a guide, you just wait till you get the double arrow key cursor and pull it back and forth or up and down, however you need, or just drag it off the page if you don't want it there anymore. Then you need to add a photo box to put your picture of your business card in. And oops, I'm going to add a photo box and put it up here at the corner so I can get the right size for the card. I make it just a hair bigger than 2 and a hair bigger than 3, so that, and then I pull it over here and set it right here on the corner of the page. I'm going to nudge it up just a little bit to make sure it covers really good, and then I will add the picture. I'm going to the resource palette and click on the icon for the camera. There it is. And now I can drag it over here into the project, and when that photo box turns blue, it's ready to take that picture. Here is my edit if I need to make it larger or smaller, and I think it looks good, so I'll say OK. I want to make a whole sheet of these so I can print them, and it's very quick to do. If you right click on your photo box, say copy, and then right click and say paste, you'll get 2 of them. Use your arrow keys to nudge your image around on the page just a little bit at a time so you can line things up perfectly. And you can also increase the view if you want to see better what you're doing. Then click on one business card and hold down the control key and click on the other, and they're both selected, and do copy, then right click paste, and you pull this down, line it up just perfectly. Again, as long as the 2 items are selected, they'll stay together and you can move them together, and that works perfectly. Once you click off of them, though, you'll have to repeat that selection process. But as long as they're both selected, I right click, say copy, and do the paste again, and I have another one lined up. And I would take a lot more time to line these up and nudge them around, but for the sake of time I won't do that. And now I have my row of templates, and I can nudge any of these around. That is your template ready to go. If you do a file save, and then you can go into your printer. You can get it there through Project, Share, and then Print, or you can do File, Print. Either way, you're going to get to the same screen. It tells me I have 1 page of business cards ready to go. Then I'm going to get 1 copy. It's going to print all the pages, which is 1 on letter, and it's going to be an actual size, and the presets is to fill the entire page. So I like all of these choices. I will print this on a piece of scrap paper. Then I'll take my business card form and put the scrap print on top of it and hold them up to the light to see if everything got lined up perfectly. If not, you can go back into your template and nudge things around a little bit to the left, to the right, up or down. It might take a little playing around with, and then you're done, and you can go ahead and just print off as many copies as you want. And don't you love it? You'll have your own design, your own look. It'll be your own for your own business. How fun. Hey, that's it for today. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.